The true biography of Felix Manalo is a good, written and created by your humble servant, Jerry Cahelon. Just call me Tatang JC. Thank you very much. Before I proceed, my very dear brothers and sisters, friends, countrymen, and acquaintances, may you please don't forget to like, share my videos, and subscribe also to my YouTube channel so you can easily follow through on my next significant manifestations or testimonies. Thank you very much. Part 19 of the Biography of Felix Manalo is a good. Sometime in the early part of 1947, and from an area nearby a river, right around Santa Lucia, located amidst the town of San Juan, and within the jurisdiction of Manila, the cult and spurious Iglesia ni Cristo INCorporation began the signing and construction of an expensive rock, stylish temple, extravagant home, lofty palace, and vast mansion. This would serve as a nesting ground for all of Sir Felix Y. Manalo's worldly desires, power, influences, and outrageousness. This is called the Mega Central, designed by Mr. Juan Nakpil. This modern building was funded by the large bulk of donated treasures from political candidates and President Manuel Acuña Rojas' political party endorsed by Sir Felix in the previous election. Alongside this political development, Sir Felix Y. Manalo began seriously eyeing his third son and fifth of his children. He was none other than Mr. Eraño de Guzman Manalo, a good surprise. He was well guided and followed since his graduation from elementary through high school at St. John's Academy, a seminary run by Catholic Dominicans in San Juan. Now, Mr. Eraño G. Manalo is being observed as seriously dedicated in his new studies per se. Well, for what? For him to become an expert in civil laws and sociology, or in other words, studying to become a mundane lawyer from a prestigious and Catholic college or university in Manila. Due to his elegant crossbreed mestizo look and Spanish manners by blood from his mother, Honorata, Mr. Eraño G. Manalo became attractive to many beautiful and common women. Consequentially, he became a serious partygoer and hard alcoholic drinker with his peers in the so-called worldly discotheque places or the high-end or classy nightclubs. Therefore, he inherited from his father the same carnal lust and mundane desires. In the heat of passion and at the height of his teenage life, he was involved in a shooting incident and murder of a local politician. However, according to the antagonist to the cult and spurious church of Sir Felix Y. Manalo, due to the family's great wealth and political influence in the government, this case was easily set aside and secretly swept under the rug. To avoid the public scandal, he instead withdrew from his education and began preaching the cult teachings of the spurious church of Sir Felix Y. Manalo. So, in May 10, 1947, at the age of 22, Mr. Eranio G. Manalo had both hands of Sir Felix Y. Manalo laid on him. He was ordained with great cries, lamentation, and lengthy prayers to ensure the power and authorities for being an ordained minister were fully vested on him. The same manner was made to his father, Felix Y. Manalo, wasn't it? Many hands of the Protestant ministers and Catholic bishops were laid on him, the many hands of his rivals in faith or religion. In the early part of 1948, Mr. Eranio G. Manalo started his thorough training in preaching and administration. He was being molded as heir to the bishop position and sole ownership of the cult INCorporation of Sir Felix Y. Manalo. He was assigned to the delicate work of overall treasurer in the cult society called the Iglesia ni Cristo INCorporation. Alongside this event within the cult and spurious church of Sir Felix was the continuing inflation or bloating of the number of voters and members in the registry in relation with the increasing number of chapels or houses of worship built or constructed. Consequently, the public image of the cult church of Sir Felix became more polished and alluring for the upcoming election. The churchmaker Perfecto Espadilla, with his wife and 2 children who grew up in Surigao, had their membership numbers inflated since the construction of the chapel there. Although there were really only 4 of them, they were registered at the central office as a division of Surigao. Likewise, the churchmaker assigned with his family of 3 in Palawan were delegated to a division level because they were already residing in the chapel's premise. Since the expulsion of the Japanese from our country, the now already banned underground movement Hukbalahap or Huk, which were headed by socialist Mr. Luis Taruk of Pampanga, created and spread restlessness and apprehension around. Many of our dear countrymen who went up the hills and mountains to continue to fight against the brutal and devilish Japanese government joined the Huk because they were deprived of livelihood benefits in the year 1948. The benefits that they were entitled to in the USAFE, United States Armed Forces in the Far East, organized by the Americans and Filipinos in the country, as well as the farmlands apportioned for the guerrilla farmers who traded sweat and blood for the goodness of the country, were stolen from them by the greedy and corrupt politicians. The corrupt candidates of the respective political parties that were elected and supported or endorsed by Sir Felix Y. Manalo. In short, the sudden enrichment of these savage and greedy leaders throughout the country and the intercourse with the cult and spurious Iglesia ni Cristo, INCorporation, together with the outrageous politics, fused the rebellion and called for justice and fairness by the hooks. Unfortunately, on April 15, 1948, President Manuel A. Rojas died of a sudden heart attack while giving a speech inside Clark Air Force Base in Pampanga. The Vice President Elpidio Rivera Quirino, a Chinese mestizo and Ilocano, took over in leading the country. His government turned into chaos and bloodbaths because of the Hukbalahap or Hooks rebellion, which quickly spread across multiple towns and villages in Nueva Ecija, Tarlac, and Pampanga. Then in the year 1950, lawlessness and bloodshed had reached the surrounding neighborhoods of Manila and right near the footsteps of the cult and spurious church INCorporation of Sir Felix Y. Manalo. To add to the turmoil, the joining of cold-blooded youth from colleges and universities that were influenced by socialistic ideology from Russia and communism or Maoist thinking acquired from the Chinese of mainland China became involved. Despite this, the cult and spurious Iglesia ni Cristo, INCorporation was not even shaken by this social development. Instead, Sir Felix Y. Manalo, with his accomplices and allies in his administration, were provided armed bodyguards from the government of President Elpidio R. Quirino. This came as a favor to Sir Felix because President Elpidio believed he was supported by the cult and quack Iglesia ni Cristo, INCorporation in his second bid for presidency in the previous 1949 national election. Sir Felix Y. Manalo took advantage of the chaotic situation. He started spreading many rumors and fake stories like this. The persecution and threat to the lives of his church directors is extremely serious per se, and there were already 2 failed assassination attempts to his life per se. The truth of the matter though, Sir Felix Y. Manalo was very scared of the Hukbalahap or hooks, and that made his rectal and stomach ailment much worse. He requested personal security from the government of President Elpidio Quirino, which eventually was granted. He and his church were given private armed goons coming from corrupt government and constabulary officials he endorsed. The cult society of Sir Felix was very thankful and appreciative to the administration of President Elpidio R. Quirino in providing him security. In return, the cult and quack Iglesia ni Cristo, INCorporation endorsed him again for the upcoming 1953 national election. But surprisingly, Mr. Ramon F. Magsaysay won and was elected as the 7th President of the Philippine Republic. Of course, some doubts arose about the quack church of Sir Felix Y. Manalo and a question, why did this happen? Well, there is a popular saying from the old folks, and that Despite how rude and cunning a monkey can be, it can still be tricked in some other way. To my very dear brothers and sisters, friends, countrymen, and acquaintances, may you please stay tuned for the upcoming Part 20 of the biography of Sir Felix Manalo Isagun in my next presentation on the Internet of the Cyber World. Again, to my very dear brothers and sisters, friends, countrymen, and acquaintances, may you please don't forget to like, share my videos, and subscribe also to my YouTube channel so you can easily follow through on my next significant manifestations or testimonies. Thank you very much.